Money trauma describes a pattern where your nervous system responds to financial situations. Checking a balance, opening a bill, being asked to split a bill at dinner, with the same physiology as real danger: racing heart, tight chest, a mind that won't settle. It isn't the same as simply being bad with money. Someone can be financially literate, even comfortable, and still feel a jolt of fear every time a card gets declined or a number looks unfamiliar. What separates money trauma from ordinary financial stress is the size of the reaction relative to the actual situation. Ordinary stress fades once the bill is paid or the balance checked. Money trauma keeps the alarm running long after the practical problem has passed, because the fear was never really about this month's numbers in the first place. This isn't about wanting to be more careful with money. Wanting to manage money well is completely normal. Money trauma is what happens when an old fear response gets triggered by ordinary financial life, regardless of how much is actually in the account. Because money trauma often produces visible financial behavior, avoided statements, impulsive spending, an inability to negotiate a salary, it gets read as a skills problem rather than a nervous system one. They just need a budgeting app. They should read more about personal finance. From the outside, the behavior looks fixable with better information, which is exactly why it so rarely gets questioned, even while it quietly runs someone's whole relationship with money. But the difference shows up in what actually helps. Genuine financial ignorance responds to information. Learn the thing, apply the thing, improve. Money trauma doesn't respond that way because the person often already knows what they should do and still can't make themselves do it. Telling someone with money trauma to just check their balance is a bit like telling someone with a fear of flying to just get on the plane. Technically correct, practically useless without addressing the fear underneath. For many people, this pattern was shaped early, in a household where money meant conflict, uncertainty, or genuine hardship. Once that link is built, the brain doesn't distinguish between a genuinely precarious financial situation and an ordinary manageable one. It treats both the same way, as something to brace against. To a nervous system shaped by scarcity, money isn't an abstract number. It's a proxy for safety itself: shelter, food, belonging, the basic conditions for staying alive. This isn't a metaphor. The same threat detection system that responds to genuine danger activates in response to a low balance notification or an unexpected bill, because somewhere along the way, not enough money got filed next to not safe. This explains why financial anxiety so rarely responds to reassurance alone. Someone can be told accurately that they're financially fine and still feel the same tight-chested dread at the next unexpected expense. The body isn't being dramatic. It's running its oldest threat response for a target that, in the present moment, usually isn't actually life-threatening at all. This also explains why logic alone rarely resolves it. A spreadsheet showing a healthy balance rarely lands when the body is already flooded with stress signals treating the situation as urgent. This is part of why money trauma responds better, over time, to small lived experiments, opening the app and surviving it, saying a number out loud and nothing collapsing, than to being told the numbers are fine. One of the most common and damaging assumptions about money trauma is that it reflects irresponsibility or a lack of discipline. Research on financial anxiety points in a different direction. It's strongly linked to environments where safety, belonging, or a parent's mood felt tied to money, meaning it was shaped by circumstance, not by an inherent character trait needing correction. Current 2026 research also links rising financial anxiety directly to broader increases in anxiety and depression, with money stress now cited as one of the leading reasons people delay or avoid seeking mental health support altogether, a genuinely difficult loop since the stress itself is often part of what needs support in the first place. Naming this doesn't excuse away the real difficulties money trauma creates in daily life: the avoidance, the doom spending, the debt shame, all covered later in this series. But it does remove an unhelpful layer of self-blame, because a large part of what makes money trauma so hard to shift is the belief that struggling with it means something is wrong with your character, rather than with a pattern you learned. Left unexamined, money trauma rarely stays contained to spreadsheets and statements. It shapes decisions long before any money has even changed hands. The salary never negotiated because asking feels dangerous. The invoice sent months late because chasing payment feels confrontational. The holiday never booked because spending on joy feels like it's tempting fate. Over time, this can quietly narrow a life in ways that rarely look dramatic from the outside. Fewer risks taken, fewer conversations had about money with a partner, more energy spent managing the anxiety around money than actually living within it. Doom spending and avoidance often travel together, alternating, weeks of not looking, followed by a spending spree that offers brief relief and a fresh wave of guilt. It also shapes relationships, sometimes in confusing ways for both people involved. A partner might experience the person with money trauma as secretive, avoidant, or unpredictable with spending, not because they're being deceptive, but because their nervous system is responding to a felt sense of risk that isn't visible from the outside. Underneath much of it sits a particularly stubborn problem, a mind that struggles to feel safe around money because safety has never felt like something guaranteed, no matter what the numbers actually say. This video has focused on definition and recognition, what money trauma actually is, why it gets mistaken for bad budgeting, and why it reflects a learned nervous system pattern rather than a personal flaw. The remaining 2 long-form videos this week build directly on this foundation. On Wednesday, we look at how money trauma quietly runs daily life through specific patterns: avoidance, doom spending, debt shame, and comparison. On Friday, we close the series by moving from understanding into practice, where these patterns usually begin and how to actually build a felt sense of financial safety. If anything in this video has resonated, that reaction is itself meaningful information, worth trusting rather than explaining away. This week on Healing Through Thoughts, we're naming this pattern clearly, without shame, and then getting to work on it together.